The following is a first-person account pieced together from journal entries and personal reflections, focusing on a chilling encounter with the ghost of Catherine Howard. The Haunting of Hampton Court Palace, a personal account. Journal entry September 12, 1993. Hampton Court Palace, Surrey, England. When I accepted the job as the caretaker at Hampton Court, it seemed too good to be true. Living among history, working in Henry VIII's palace, surrounded by stories that go back nearly 500 years. Who wouldn't be enchanted? But tonight, something happened. I'm writing it down while it's fresh in my mind, hoping that putting words to paper will help me make sense of it. Earlier tonight, after the last tour left, I started locking up. The great hall was silent, lit only by the dim glow of wall sconces. As I walked through the darkened corridors toward the haunted gallery, I felt a strange, electric chill. The air itself seemed to hum like static building just before a storm. As I reached the end of the corridor, I heard it, a low, echoing sob. At first I thought it was the wind playing tricks, but then I heard it again, a voice, unmistakable, pleading, mercy, please. The voice was a woman's, distant but filled with raw, choking terror. Every part of me wanted to run, to leave the gallery, but I felt compelled to continue. I knew the story. Everyone at Hampton Court does. This was the spot where Catherine Howard, Henry VIII's fifth wife, was said to have run, screaming for mercy from her husband, only to be dragged away to her death. I'd always thought it was just legend. But what I heard tonight felt real. The voice was clear, the fear palpable. I was too afraid to stay and I left quickly, locking the gallery without looking back. I feel silly for even writing it down, but I'm certain I wasn't alone. October 14, 1993. Weeks passed without incident, and I began to convince myself that my mind had simply been playing tricks. But last night something else happened. I was alone again, preparing to close the east wing. It was a chilly night, the fog thickening over the Thames, making the palace grounds feel secluded, almost otherworldly. As I was checking the last few rooms, I heard footsteps, quick, light, like someone running. The sound came from the haunted gallery again. With my pulse racing, I followed, telling myself it must be another staff member I hadn't seen. But when I reached the gallery, I was alone. The air was cold, so much colder than the rest of the palace, and there was a thick, unexplainable sadness in the air. And then the smell, a faint, sickly sweet scent, like roses left too long in a vase, wafted through the air. I remembered then, Catherine Howard was known to have loved roses, and the chilling realization hit me. The scent was strongest in the exact spot where she had been seized all them centuries ago. I walked back, heart pounding, and left the gallery, unable to shake the feeling that I was being watched. November 19, 1993. Last night was the most terrifying experience yet. The palace was completely quiet as I finished my rounds. I checked the haunted gallery last, the dread in my stomach worse than before. I was halfway through the corridor when I felt a sudden, intense pressure, like a hand gripping my shoulder. My heart stopped, and before I could move, a piercing scream ran through the hall. It was no ordinary scream. It was filled with unimaginable terror and echoed off the walls, filling every corner of the gallery. The scream was cut short, leaving an oppressive silence, and then I saw her. A shadowy figure, pale and ghostly, was standing at the far end of the gallery. She wore a long, flowing gown, her face hidden in shadow, but I could see the outline of her form clearly, shimmering in the dark. She reached out, her arm trembling, as if pleading for help. her form flickering in and out like a candle about to be snuffed out. Her presence radiated desperation, and though her face was blurred, I could feel her sorrow and terror. I stood frozen, locked in her gaze as a wave of sadness washed over me, raw and overwhelming. I wanted to reach out, to comfort her, but as I took a step forward, she vanished, leaving me alone in the gallery, my breath clouding in the now frigid air. December 1st, 1993. It's been a week since I last saw her, and I've avoided the gallery whenever possible. I know I'm not the only one who's seen her. The other staff members have shared stories, hushed whispers about her spirit eternally seeking mercy, forever running through the palace. I've read every account I can find about Catherine Howard's last days. The more I learn, the more real she feels. She was only a teenager when she married the king, barely more than a child. They say she made mistakes, that she betrayed him. But when I saw her ghost, there was no malice, no guilt, only fear and grief. Now I dread the nights I lie awake, imagining her desperate footsteps echoing down the halls. Even though I want to leave, something holds me here. A strange, persistent empathy for a young girl whose cries for mercy went unanswered. The other day, I caught a faint whiff of roses again. The same smell I noticed weeks ago. It lingered near the gallery, haunting and beautiful. I've started to leave a single rose in the corridor, hoping that somehow it brings her peace. They say Catherine's spirit is doomed to wander Hampton Court, forever trapped in her final moments of terror. I don't know if I believe that fully, but I do believe she's here, and every time I close up for the night, I can feel her presence, an echo from the past that refuses to fade. A final reflection. It's been decades since I left Hampton Court, but I still remember those encounters as vividly as if they had happened yesterday. People often ask me if I truly believe Catherine's ghost haunts the palace, and I always give the same answer. Yes, I do believe. I believe her spirit remains locked in time, her cries reverberating through those stone walls. Hampton Court holds more than just the echoes of history. It holds the pain, fear, and sorrow of those who lived and died within its walls. Whenever I visit now, I bring a rose to lay in the haunted gallery, and every time I turn to leave, I feel a cold brush against my shoulder, a silent presence that reminds me I'm not alone.